All right, guys, I got some broken studs here. Now these ones are relatively easy. I do have another one that I got to pull some studs on, or a manifold I got to pull some studs on. So I'll show you two different methods of doing this. So these ones are broke off. We'll see, these ones aren't blind holes, which is nice. Well, those ones aren't blind holes either, but we will have to pull these out and I have to do those. So we are going to show you guys some bolt extraction. So with these ones, I cut these off with the torch. You would have seen it earlier in the video, or if you're not watching the video of me doing this, it's just me doing this, then I cut these off with the grinder, because that way you can get your stud removal tool to slide on easier. Now, yeah, this one's just going to walk right out without even having to do anything. The head was just all haggard, so it wouldn't come out. Sometimes you get lucky and they will thread out easy. This one felt like it was going to twist off. That's why I just thought, I'm just going to cut them off and I'll deal with them after. I'm going to give these other ones a swat with a hammer, and they might just turn out of there. Now, it has been soaking overnight as well. I used, or I don't know what I did with it, but I used, it's a penetrant. I'll put a picture of it. I just had the can. Must have wandered away with it. It's a WD-40 product, and it's Blue Torque technology. I've actually never used that stuff before, but they sent me some to try out, so we are trying it. It seems to work relatively well from what my experience so far, but I haven't really used it on any really stuck stuff yet. So these are actually relatively stuck. So these, let's say if these will come out, because I couldn't get these to come out, I stripped the heads on them, and they are ignorant to get at. This one was starting to twist, so I just left it alone. This one will have to heat for sure. So we'll see if these ones will come out, because they wouldn't come out to start with. And yeah, we'll go after it. So I'm going to grab the stud tool, a hammer, a ratchet, and I'll probably bring the torch over because I'll have to heat this one for sure. All right, I'm going to throw you guys onto the stand, and I'll go get some tools. All right, hammer. Not a real big hammer, but basically all that does is just shock loads the system. Sorry for the noise. I'm doing this during the day, so I got the parts washer going and all that good stuff like that. This one's going to come out no problem. Sometimes you get lucky and they come out, but I find, like I said, I find sometimes if they won't come and you can get your, if you can get your torch in there to cut the head off, if that's an ability that you have, or even using the grinder, it's easier to do that than it is to try to screw around. And like I said, these did soak overnight, so there is that side of it. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Nice when a good plan comes together. I don't like this ratchet. That ratchet's going to aka go to the scrap bin. So this is the stuff that I was talking about. Seems to work okay. Like I said, I've never used it before. They send me some. I've used some of their penetrating, but I've never used this one. This one's from their specialty line, so. This one was just twisting yesterday, so that obviously, that stuff is obviously doing the job. This stuff obviously does work. So if you guys are having stubborn bolts, give this stuff a whirl, because it did make a difference. But like I said, this one was twisting yesterday. That was actually part of the reason I started pulling the studs, or started cutting the bolts off, because I didn't want to have to screw around with it. So anyways, At this point with this thing, we're going to call that good. So that was best case scenario. If you have time, penetrating oil, give it a good whack with a hammer, stud remover, whatever it may be. Now I'm going to go over to broken bolts on the manifold, because I know those ones are going to be a little bit more. Show you guys a couple little techniques of pulling them out, and see if it works. So I think what I'll do probably on this, I'm going to, on this one, I'm going to do the weld technique, and this one we're going to drill, I think anyway, because that'll give you guys, oh yeah, it started to come out and stopped. That one didn't move yet, so we'll try doing this one first. We're going to do the weld technique on this one, and we'll have to drill this one out, see if we can get it out. If not, we'll drill it out, and might have to helicoil it. So anyways, I'll go after that, and we'll see you here in a minute. All right guys, so this is the second half of this video. We're going to pull out some broken studs. So this one I'm pretty sure, so all I did with this thing was I just threw it in the bead blasting cabinet so that I didn't have to wire wheel it. You can wire wheel it, do the exact same thing. This one I think is broke off, and the threads are actually bunged up. This one I'm going to say that because it's still sticking out, likely just broke off from rust jacking or something. So anyways, we're going to weld a washer and nut onto this one. So this is one method. And we'll try to get this one out like that, and if we can get this one out like that, then we are going to drill and tap this one, and then we'll see what the threads look like, and we might have to helicoil both or one or whatever. But anyways, we're going to go after that. So all I'm going to do is MIG weld this washer on first, and then we'll weld this on, and then I'm probably going to throw a little bit more heat like at the whole thing, because these things are pretty crusty. So probably do that, and then we'll try taking it out of there. Guess we'll see what happens. So let's get after it. So now we're going to throw a little heat at this thing, see what happens. So there's that one. It came out. Now, threads actually don't look too bad. Now we're gonna have to deal with this one, but I'm pretty sure that one's bunged up in there. So we're gonna have to go over to, I'm gonna go over to the seat and guide machine to do that. I'm gonna drill it by hand because it'll show you guys, you can drill them by hand, but it's easier for me to fixture it on there so it doesn't move around. So we'll meet you guys over there. Okay guys, I got this thing fixtured up in here. I basically just wanted to have something to hold it from moving, right? So this is the easiest way for me to do it. You guys can use a bench vise. You could screw it down to a bench if you got a wooden bench, whatever floats your boat. So anyways, what you want to do is, obviously the cleaner you can get this, the easier usually, is that we're going to put a center dot in the middle of that. The better the center, the better off you are. As I say that, I won't get it in the center. All right, got a center dot there, and we're going to drill a hole through it now. For you guys that have never done this, we are going to drill a hole through the center of that. Now, the closer you can get to the center while doing this, the better off you are if you have to end up drilling it completely out. Now, there is some techniques for if you screw up, obviously, because, you're not always going to do it perfect. But we are going to, I didn't get it just perfect in the middle here, so we'll adjust a little bit. definitely not in the middle. All right, guys, so we're gonna throw, you guys have never done before. These are easy outs, one style of easy out. But this is a tapered style, which this one's chewed up pretty bad, so I don't know if it's gonna work or not, but the ends of them, the sides of them get chewed up because that's what actually grabs, so they get chewed up. So, basically all you wanna do is just, as I don't lost my hammer, what you want to do is just tap it in there. You don't want to get too carried away because you'll oblong the bolt. I honestly don't know if this is going to work or not, but I think that this one is bunged up in there. Yeah, I'm going to say it is. We're going to have to drill. I think we're going to have to drill this one right out. Yeah. Basically tapping on like that, for you guys that don't know, just shocks the area around it a little bit. Just to see. Yeah. She's stuck in there. All right, so she's stuck in there, so that means we're gonna have to do a little bit of surgery. Which is okay. I honestly didn't think it was going to come out like that because it looks like it came out about 2/3 of the way. Never got any lube put on it. Lube is your friend. I've always said that. Lube is your friend. Now I didn't get this thing perfectly drilled in the center, which is my own fault. But what we're going to do is run a drill bit in there a little bit bigger than the last time. Basically what we're trying to do, it's relatively center, but what we're going to do is, to give you an idea, is basically we want to open it up until you can expose the threads that are there. I'll see if I can show you what I mean when I get there. We will get her out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this end mill and I'm going to run this end mill in there and drill the center out. Because it keeps chewing up my drill bit. So, this is okay. I can fix that problem. All right, so there's that. That's that easy. Oh. The end mill back. So if you were doing this at home, this would not have been a good time. because usually you don't have to, usually they don't have that hard spot in them, but this thing definitely had a hard spot from something. So basically I got it drilled to the point now, whether you guys will be able to see that, but see that little piece there? That's what's left of the threads, like left of the bolt, I should say, not the threads. That's what's left of the bolt. So I got to dig that out of there, and then we're going to run a, we're going to put a Healy coil in here because the threads in this won't be any good, I don't think. Finally got that hole drilled out. We are going to use a little lube here. Because this manifold seems to be relatively hard, we want to use a good, some sort of brake clean in it. Oh, this one does. So check that out, pretty simple. You drill the hole, you tap it. This is a tap that comes in the Healy coil. This is your Healy coil. And then there's tools, depending on what brand you get, they have different tools. Something that I usually do, the exhaust manifold one, kind of, it'll burn it off, but it makes me feel better. This is actually high temp stuff anyway. Is just a little dab, the little dab will do you on this type of thing. This just keep it from moving around. So put the Healy coil in. This one I'm going to bring below surface just a little bit. And then there is the little tab in there. That's what this tool is for in this kit. There's like a little tab on the end. It breaks off. If it's a blind hole, you want to pull it out of there. Don't leave it in there because it's an easy way to screw your thread up if it happens to get bunged up in there. Basically, that little piece that I'm talking about is this little piece. Is that little piece. It's designed to break off. Now, if you guys have your, let's say you wind it in and you didn't go too far, something you can do, like if there's some of this left out, let's say, what you can do if you take if you have a burr bit for your die grinder, if you, this pointing one works really well, but basically if you put a little line in this, basically the same as that crimp line, the little crimp that they've done on there. I don't know if you guys see that in the video or not, right at the edge of my fingernail. Basically you want to do the same thing on this, on yours, and it'll just break off. So just if you guys ever run into that problem, just thought I'd mention that. It's a little helpful hint. All I'm going to do now is just whack that with a file quick, because I know, roll that up. Make sure we don't have a big high spot there. And I'm just going to run a tap through these other ones. I don't think you guys really need to watch that. Just chase the threads out and then we're good to go. So anyways, that comes to a conclusion on pulling out broken bolts. hopefully that helps you guys out. There is some other methods for doing it too. Maybe I'll touch base on some of that stuff as I run into it, or I get a bunch of broken bolts. So just to recap on it, you're you know, if you have a exhaust manifold bolts, if you can cut them off, lots of times you can monkey with them afterwards, much easier. You've seen on a 12 valve head, there is two of them, was it one or two? One or two of them that you could feel it twisting, it wasn't moving. I soaked it last night, I cut them off, soaked them last night, and with the WD-40 penetrating oil, and they walked out relatively easy. I didn't even have to heat them. So that, you know, gives you an idea. Now the one that we did here, welded the washer and the nut on, and then I heated it. You do the same idea if you wanted, if those ones were really stuck in there, if you just heat it with the torch, and then you can lots of times walk them out. If the bolt is coming out and it stops, lots of times it means she's bunged up real good. And if that's the case, then you're kind of screwed. So if that's the case, then, you know, you'll have to helicoil it usually, or use a time cert. I have the heli kits for that size, so that's why we use the helicoil. So anyways, like, subscribe, hit me down in the comments, and remember, it's not rocket science.